Good morning. How's it, guys? So this is my first little chat video that I'm busy putting together. And today I have the pleasure of having someone that is kind of known, that's well known in the rugby community in and around Cape Town. You might just call him not the Messiah, but someone that can kind of help you get you on the right track. So I'm joined today I have the pleasure of chatting to Warren Edwards, who is the current player career consultant at Western Province Rugby Academy out in Claremont, Villages. So how are you doing, Warren? And thanks for taking your time or taking some time to actually chat with me today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Yeah, great opportunity. And yeah, I wouldn't call myself a messiah, but yeah, hopefully heading that way.
Lovely stuff. Lovely. Let's jump into it though. I've got a few questions for you, and I know that during this time it's been quite hard for a lot of people, especially with the kids. But we're going to start off with you. I just want to know when was Western Province Rugby Academy started, and where do you kind of fit in though with your role as the player career consultant?
Yeah, the Western Province Rugby Academy was founded in 2014. Started off in Takai, behind Takai Forest, the Chrysalis Academy. They had a nice open space, facilities out that way, and a bit away from the hustle and bustle, from the everyday life, which was quite nice, and also the temptation. The party life for the youngsters.
Yeah.
And then they moved across to Villages. That's where the Claremont campus is based now. And then last year, towards the end of last year, we got a Stellenbosch campus now, which is the old Stellenbosch Rugby Academy.
Yes.
So UXI they have taken over the Western Province Rugby Academy. So I'm actually employed by UXI Sports. And we've got another institution involved as well, the Cheetahs Rugby Institute of Excellence in Bloemfontein. And I'm the player career consultant. I'm based at Claremont, but I can sign up for any three of those campuses. So if a boy is out in Durban, he doesn't want to come to Cape Town, I can sign him up a little bit closer to the family out in Bloemfontein. Okay. So yeah, and there's things in the pipeline, just waiting on confirmation, but we could have a few other unions on board as well in the near future.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So I just want to know, how long have you actually been a player career consultant, and where did it actually start for you? And not just looking at the Western Province Rugby Academy, but your passion for rugby itself.
For sure. I started off on the 1st of Feb this year, actually. I'm actually also the director of rugby at Villages Rugby Club. And obviously the academy offices are right on the door at Villages. And I know the guys, and then all of a sudden there was this position open. And pretty much the rest is history. And the thing is, I'm doing what I'm passionate about. I've been in the sales game for over 15 years, different industries. But sport, especially rugby, has been my passion. I'm an ex-Wynberg old boy, matriculated 2001. Nice. I was playing club cricket and club rugby after school, but my heart was more into the rugby game. And I was getting a little bit further. So I gave my full attention to the rugby, and also the opportunity of playing overseas a little bit through my rugby, out in Ireland and Italy for a little bit. But then also had to cut my rugby short. I stopped playing top club rugby at the age of 28, which is actually, you think about it these days, it's almost like your prime.
Definitely. Years, Yeah, no, definitely.
So I had to, because just one too many concussions, and just
day concussions or night concussions?
No, it's those match concussions, and I was that fly off that wanted to tackle.
Yeah, okay.
Got my head in the wrong position at times, and
we've seen it more, most recently with Pat Lambie. and we've
Yep.
kind of seen his transition as well, being a consultant at the Shock. So, you know, there's some guys that end up going and playing for a couple of years with that, and there's others that, you know, like yourself and Pat, that just kind of have to make the decision where else can I fit in. But enough about that. I just want to know, what is the goal of Western Province Rugby Academy? And then also, who have you seen actually come through the doors, or heard of, you know, with you being at villages? Anyone specific, either at the Stormers or Springboks or any of the other unions that you can kind of say you've either seen or heard of that's done quite well through this program?
Yeah, our goal, you know, ours is it's a high performance rugby and academic program. So all the boys study through our, even the
Apologies.
guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Sorry. Yeah, yeah, all good.
Yeah.
And we given this year, it was just a flat out one course for everybody, a generic management course, but we've decided to spice things up for next year. Given a sports administration course, taking over the
Yes.
generic management course, plus two additional.
Yeah, apologies for that. I seem to be having some technical difficulties on my side. I'm actually in
Or
Turkey, and the weather is
I'm in
not the
Kirstenhof,
greatest.
all good.
So I'm opposite
Okay,
the BP here. Don't worry, I'll be cutting all of this out.
okay, all
I'll ask one
good.
of my guys. So let's
So,
just carry on the goal and the programming that you guys have in place,
hmm,
and then
yeah.
obviously the other question.
So it's yeah. So we're giving the boys that academic study option as well. Well, it's not those three options to study, because we do believe, because as we know, rugby is a contact sport and anything can happen.
Yeah,
So we want to get the boys prepared for life after sport. You know, get them ready for the working environment. You know, we got a company called the A Game who does mental toughness with the boys.
yeah,
So you know, we give that whole person development, make them stronger, make them better rugby players and better human beings.
lovely.
Um, and and then with regards to the top players coming through the ranks, well, popping in down at villages. As we all know, it's a Western Province owned property. So we've got the likes. Well, currently at the moment we've got the Western Province under 21 squad training there.
Yeah,
We've got the likes of the Stormers, the Curry Cup team, the Way Super Rugby teams, the Hurricanes, the Australian teams that come and train there before their games in Newlands. So there's a lot of traffic that happens there. There's a lot of overseas teams that come there. They're looking for a game to play.
yeah,
Um, they play against the academy, or they play against villages, or they play
lovely.
against a Western Province Invitational team.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of attraction there. So
Mm.
all our current students, they get to brush shoulders with a couple of the heroes,
Yeah,
which
no,
is nice.
definitely.
And then
Yeah,
also during this time, you know, during the whole lockdown for 5 months, the boys haven't been on the field.
yeah,
And so we've had Rito Slongane, the Stormers forwards coach, Neil
lovely.
Powell, Darby Snyman coming to talk to these boys
Yeah,
just to get them prepared for, you know, the rugby environment once they turn pro, and get them ready for that and what it
lovely.
takes to become pro. You know,
Yes.
so a little bit of off-field stuff, but now the last couple of days they've been able to get on the pitch, throw the ball
Yeah,
around, and get back
lovely.
into the gym,
Yeah, so
which is good.
we've had some good news the last 24 to 48 hours with regards to
Yeah.
full contact, and I see that you commented on social media with regards to this. How important is it that we try and get these boys back on the field in full contact mode for when we have the new normal, as I can say, with post COVID-19?
Well, we're not doing full contact at the moment. It's still basic skill work and
Okay.
running fitness and conditioning and all of that, until we get told from our operations department via
Yeah.
the obviously the government protocols,
Yeah.
then we will follow that suit.
Yeah.
But it's very important. So hopefully if things lighten up a little bit towards the end of the year, we can plan something,
Yeah.
game
Lovely.
situations. At the end of the
Awesome.
day, the boys they want to put those 15 jerseys on and they want to play against the opposition,
Yeah. They want to get out
match
and do.
situation.
Yeah, they want to get out.
Yeah,
I
because
know. I look at when I played, and yes, I played high school and some club rugby, but you look forward to that Saturday morning just to put it on and be with the boys on the field. Yes, you've trained, but it's to put, everything on the field and just get that result and enjoy it, and I think this is quite important. But looking at what's happening with COVID-19, I just want to know, how has this kind of affected the recruitment for the new intake, and then also how will this kind of affect schoolboy and academy rugby for the next, say, 2 to 3 years?
well, to be honest, we actually we found the stats from last year compared to this time now. We're actually way better
Okay.
compared to what's happening. Because at the same time, I'm working from home at the moment, and when the boys have that week break, when they went to school, then they went back home for that week. It's actually very nice to communicate with the boys and the parents. Um, and they need to start planning now,
Yeah.
even though they don't know what's happening. A lot of parents are skeptical and they want to wait and see what happens, and we'll decide next year what
Yeah.
we're going to do
Next
with our
year.
boy.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it's too late. You still got to plan as if things are still going to work out on
Kind
time.
of be, yeah,
uh,
work out on time and be normal though. So it's
for
quite
sure.
hard, because it kind of puts you in a mind as a parent, like, I want to give this to my child, but I'm also scared I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, not just from
Yeah,
a
100%.
financial point of view, but from a holistic point of view, with the current climate that we're dealing with.
100%. And we follow the education department, obviously through our
Yeah.
academic partners, because that's important. We have to do both the rugby and the academic,
Hmm.
and we need to follow those guidelines.
Yeah.
So we planning on starting as we did this year, 1st of Feb, but things might be delayed until end of Feb next year to start, because
Awesome.
the guys might only receive their matric results end of Jan, early Feb.
Yes. Yeah.
So we might just need to delay our program to start, but the kids will still get their 10-month program in.
Perfect. That's amazing. And then just looking at the current climate, just wanting to know from you, what plans should unions and SA Rugby have in place to kind of combat what's happening at the moment with COVID? Looking at it from an academy point and moving the boys over to that professional sphere when they go off after that 10 months or after a certain period. Do you have any insight on that, maybe?
Yeah, it's I don't know the right answer regarding that, but the unions, because we probably all know schoolboy rugby and schoolboy talent at the moment. There's a big gap between schoolboy rugby and then professional rugby.
Yeah.
The clubs are sort of hanging there and hanging on a thread.
Yeah.
We've got so many clubs out there, and I think more attention needs to be given to the clubs.
Okay.
With all that talent that leaves the schools, we that institution that wants to develop and catch the hidden talent, those guys that don't get
Yeah.
provincial contracts.
Yes.
So they still believe that in the system, we tie in our relationships with the union, so whereby there's opportunities. We create a platform. So when that
Yeah.
opportunity does arise, it's up for that student to take it.
Yeah.
So a lot of the students ask me after the course, am I going to get a provincial contract? The answer is
Yeah.
no,
No.
but there could be a possibility. It all
Yes.
depends on the boys' hard work.
Yeah.
My favorite saying, you can never keep a good man down. So if
Definitely.
if he's giving the results in and he's
Yeah.
performing week in and week out,
Yeah.
there's only one place he can go. And once
Yeah.
that gap happens, the higher coaches will definitely look at him.
Yeah. And then, and looking at it from a COVID point of view, how does this kind of affect you, as a schoolboy going forward? Because now you're already despondent because of COVID, and you're like, oh, Coach Warren, am I going to get this contract? Are these guys going to come out and actually look at us when we decide to play again, or do they have players already? Am I going to get the chance? I just don't know, because COVID's kind of put me down already.
Yeah,
How do I get that done?
absolutely. Yeah. And I feel for these matric players, even the head boys and the head girls at all these schools. They can't demonstrate their leadership.
Yeah.
It's the same for the other sporting codes, the cricket, the hockeys, the netballs. But just on the rugby front, the boys must, you know, once something bad happens, there's got to be something good at the end of the tunnel. So now it's just the self belief and the positivity to stay, on the front foot.
Yeah.
And the thing is, without Craven Week this year, a lot of boys are bummed about that. And the next place that I believe that the boys are going to get scouted is through the academy systems. With academy systems, they well, it's not just we're not the only one. There's other academies out there, but we I'm sure we're all trying to create a stronger partnership with the unions.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
that's where UXI Sport wants to go. We wanted to tap into a few unions, if not, if not,
Not all.
you
Why
know,
not
and,
all?
yeah,
Why not all at the end of the day?
exactly.
Yeah.
So there
But
is
yeah,
something in the pipeline, and
lovely,
hopefully we can give confirmation sooner rather than later. But
lovely.
just regarding the matric boys, I think the next little milestone for them now, they've got 2 years now to work towards that provincial under 20 tournament, which is
Yes,
starting next year. So there's now under
lovely.
19s, under 21s. So next year it will be under 20s. So matrics need to work towards that as their next
Excellent.
mini goal.
Yeah. So we've kind of touched on what you would like to say, but last but not least, just your current take on the rugby climate itself, away from an academy point of view, but looking at what's happening globally with the coronavirus pandemic. And then also, you can maybe touch a little bit on schoolboy rugby if you want to, but just where we should kind of see ourselves. I'm not going to ask you about should we go up north with SA rugby? Should we stay with New Zealand rugby or Australian rugby? But, just where should we how should we change our mindset? What should we as consumers be looking out for in the rugby community as a whole going forward?
I think a change is good. So to head up north, I think that's probably the easiest answer to go for. And obviously the time zones as well. And it's not much jet lag, wasting time in that regard with regards to traveling and that. But also at the same time, I do believe New Zealand and Australia needs us more than we need them
Okay.
in a way.
Yeah.
It's we like if we could. I'd, Also, with all our provincial tournaments, I think we should scrap a few and make Curry Cup as strong as it used to be.
Definitely.
And then you make the top unions, 4 or maybe 6 if we can play up north. That's the big draw card. But then we keep the Curry Cup the big one, and then we
Yeah.
make it like a strong club rugby community, whether it's televised, almost like the Gold Cup. But those
Yeah.
are only for the top in
For the
each.
elite
I
teams.
think it's
Yeah.
the top 2 of each.
Yes.
But we make it like a global thing for all the clubs,
Yeah.
because my word, we've got sorry for the language, but we've got a shitload of clubs in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
So Western Province and Boland areas, there's so
Definitely.
much hidden talent there,
Yeah.
and those boys get lost. So when they do play for the communities, you're a hero in your community.
Yeah.
But for them now to maybe get it televised more often, and that's where JP Nordia from Cape Rugby TV is doing a great job. but he's only one man.
Yeah.
It's we need to get around a little bit more to all the clubs.
Lovely.
Well, I don't know the answer, but I just think we
Yeah.
we need to
Yeah.
we need to showcase our talents a little bit more with all the
No,
clubs and get
definitely.
around a little bit more.
Yeah, no. So yeah,
My
it's yeah yeah. So it's a bit of a tough one for people that's so invested when they can see what the solution needs to be, and then it's also a tough one for people sitting outside as being like myself, sometimes being a coach type of coach and being like, oh, they're not doing enough. But we never
yeah,
see all of the things being done behind closed doors, and we only see that's being produced on the outside, which is not always what we want to see. But Warren, I
absolutely.
want to say thank you so much. I'm going to end our little video. And yeah, but thank you so much. We're going to stay in contact. There's a lot more for us to talk about, and there's a lot more for us to dissect in the next coming months. And I think that the next 4 to 5 months is going to be crucial, not just for rugby in South Africa, but academy rugby. I'm hoping that we get some good news, because without these boys achieving what they need to in the 10-month program, we're not going to see a Dylan Lates or a Sabir Sinatla coming through, or a Gio Aplon, or even a Herschel Yankees that came from a
Mm,
from a varsity cup point of view, because a lot of people would think that he kind of just got lost along the way and then got found again. So it's
yeah.
very important that we see these programs get done. And I want to say thank you once again for taking the time from a nice and beautiful southern suburbs